Welcome back to Microsoft Word. In this tutorial, we are going to be looking at some advanced settings that you may not be familiar with. We will also talk a little bit about how to use certain different features. First of all, when we first get into the document, we always need to check our font family, font size, and our line spacing. If I look up in the font section, I notice that the fonts are not correct. And if I go to my paragraph dialog box, again, the before and after is not correct. So I'm going to cancel. I'm going to click on Control A. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select Times New Roman. You could select Arial. And I'm going to select 12. Then I'm going to go into my paragraph dialog box. And you notice the spacing. Whenever you see spacing that has spaces above and below that hard return, that backwards P, then you know you have some additional spacing that you want to get rid of. So in the spacing section where it says before, we want that to read 0. The after, we want that to read 0. And the line spacing, we want to be single. And you can, if you want, set it as a default. Click OK. Now you notice that we got rid of all that extra spacing in our document. In a business report, the margins for a business report usually is a 2-inch top on the first page, and succeeding pages are 1 inch. However, this is not a business report. If you look at this, this is probably just a general document. So in that case, usually a business document will be a 1-inch top margin with 1-inch side, left, right, and bottom margins. So we're going to go to layout, and we are going to change our margins. And we're going to go down here and customize them. Again, we want the top margin to be 1, the left to be 1, the bottom to be 1, and the right to be 1. Click OK. Now we have our document set. The first thing that we're going to look at as far as a new feature is our styles. If we click on the drop-down button, we're going to see that we have lots of different styles. Now here's the thing. If a style is not up here, you can always search for it by clicking on Apply Styles. And we'll talk about that here in a moment. Usually in a business document, the first line, Landscape Made Easy, is usually a title. So we're going to go to our styles and click on the drop down. And if you notice, I don't have title here, but I can go to Apply Styles, type in the word title, and then apply it. Normally, the first line would be centered. So now we have our first line set up. We also have some side headings. If you look here, Designing Your Yard is a side heading. First, step 1, determining your needs. It's a side heading. How am I determining that? It's because there's a paragraph below it, followed by a hard return. So each one of these can be side headings. The question is, how do we want them to look? So we're going to go up, and for Designing Your Yard, we want to make that into not a title heading, but a heading 1. And if I go up here to my drop down, I don't have heading 1 in there. So I can go over here and ask it to reapply heading 1. And it does. I can also put my cursor in front. Let's say I want to separate this out from the rest of the text. If I click in front of Designing Your Yard, and then click on the drop down arrow for the border and go all the way down to horizontal line, I can insert a horizontal line here. If I double click on the horizontal line, I can also change the coloring of that line. I can change the height. I can also change the width if I want, and I can change how it measures. I can change if I want it aligned left, center, or right. Right now it's set on center, which is good. I click OK. And then now I have my line in. Now, if I click on this line and do Control C, then go to the end of designing your yard and click Control V, notice it just copies in that new line. So now I have a separation, and I think that works for that heading. I'm going to delete that extra paragraph marker. Now I'm going to come down, and my next heading is step 1. All I want to do with this is add a heading 2. So I'm going to go over here, exit out of that, and let's look for a heading 2. Notice there is no heading 2. So I could go to Applied Styles, change my heading 1 to a heading 2, and apply. Looking at this, I would want a space below this heading. So if I triple click on it, I'm going to go to my paragraph, and I'm going to ask it, since this has before 6, I want this after to be 6. And I don't want it to be on multiple, but I want it to be on single. I'm going to click OK. Then, to apply this to the rest of my steps, I just go up to my Format Painter tool, double click, and then I can go through and I can add this formatting to each of my steps. And I hit Escape to get out of that, and now I have set up my headings. Now on the second page, I would do something very similar. All right, but I'm not going to mess with that. All right, so I'm going to go down further, and I'm going to look at this section here that has 3 columns. It's hard to tell there's 3 columns, but the reason why I can tell there's 3 is because of this arrow. And as we learned in the first video, these arrows mean there are tabs there. And so if I notice there's tabs in between each one. So let's say I want to convert this to a text, to a table. Instead of having to retype it all I have to do is select the section that I want in a table, go up to Insert, click on the drop down for Table, and then instead of inserting a table, I can convert text to table. I'm going to select that, and we'll get the dialog box for Convert Text to Table. We wanted 3 columns, and it knows it's separated by tabs. I'm going to click OK, and now we have our table. To select a table, click on the cross on the left-hand side, and then you're going to go to your Table Tools Design, and the Table Tools only come up when you select your table. Then we're going to click on that drop-down, and we may select a specific table. I'm going to remove the bold, and I can either go to bold or I can do Control B, and then I'm going to go back to Layout, and I'm going to auto-fit this so all the columns fit tight. And then I'm going to do Control E to center my table. The landscaping tools is the description of this table. So I want to center this, so I'm going to click on Center. And then because it's a heading of a table, I am going to add a specific effect. I can add a strong emphasis, so I think I'm going to add emphasis. And I could have, then I can increase the size of the table or the text. So there is my table. I'm going to get rid of this paragraph marker because there should only be one paragraph marker between each one. Now, after I have done this, I look at this and I say, hey, I don't want this in a table, so I can convert it from a table by selecting the cross and going to Table Tools Layout. I can convert to text. And Microsoft knows it originally was separated by tabs. So click OK. And then now I have it taken out of the table. Right? If we look up on the ruler, You notice this hourglass? I am going to take the base of this hourglass where it says left indent, and I'm going to make sure it's on 0. Then if I look at my ruler, I have a left tab at the 1, 1, a second left tab at the 1, 2. So I want to center this on the table by tab. So I'm going to grab this last tab and I'm going to drag it to about 4.5 on the ruler. Then I'm going to go to my first tab. I'm going to grab this left tab and I'm going to drag that to about 2.9, I think. Now you notice I don't have a third tab for this column. I am not going to use the hourglass, but rather over here in the corner is a tab feature. I'm going to select that until I get my left tab. There's my left tab. I'm going to come over here and on the 1.5 mark, I'm going to click. Might have to double click. And there it is. So now I have 3 tabs. Now to get this first column to line up with the first tab, all I do is hit the tab key. And if you notice now, this tab, garden fork, lines up with the first tab. Garden rakes line up with the second tab, and spades line up with the first tab. And I'm going to do that all the way down the column. After I'm done, I want to measure how much space I have between the left margin and the first tab, and the right margin and the second tab, the last tab. And I see I'm off a little bit, so I'm going to select this first column by using my Alt drag, and I can move the first left tab back, maybe to here. And now if I turn off my formatting marks, it looks pretty centered. And I'm going to turn them back on, and I can also color each of these columns by just using my Alt drag. The Alt drag is a great tool to know, or shortcut to know, and I would really encourage you to use it so you don't forget how to use it. So we set up our columns. Going to turn off the tab. Now I'm going to go up here, and one of the things we want to do underneath these step 1, step 2, step 3 is I'm going to triple click on this because we really want to move the paragraph so that it's indented a little bit. To do that, we're going to go up to the hourglass and we're going to grab this base. We want the left indent and we're going to drag it to 0.5. Then on the right side, you're going to see the right indent. We're going to grab that and we're going to move that to 6. Then we're going to double click on Format Painter tool and we're just going to click on each of our paragraphs underneath the steps. Hit escape to get out. And now we have quickly formatted this document. And then what I would do is I would go down here and format the rest of this document as well. But you can do that on your own. Anyways, this is how you set up using advanced features. I wish you the best of luck. Try using all skills that you have never used before so you learn how to use them. Thanks for watching and have a great time formatting.